Hello everybody, welcome back for another video, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. Developers have successfully launched a shadow fork of the Shanghai upgrade as a test version on the main Ethereum network. A shadow fork is a test version of the actual mainnet, allowing developers to see if a piece of code from the proposed upgrade will actually work on the real blockchain. The test for the Shanghai upgrade took place at 5:30 a.m. Don't know why that was necessary to write inside there, but alas, there were actually a few minor technical issues with Ethereum's nodes using Geth client after the fork, as reported by Marius van der Vidgen, a Geth developer. But developers were able to fix the issues, and now all nodes are in agreement. They will be testing more, obviously, to ensure everything works properly before the actual upgrade happens. This is why you actually, it's self-explanatory, if you will, but why they have multiple different test nets. Years ago, a lot of the testing there actually wasn't a lot of testing done. And I mean like years ago. I'm not talking about like 3 or 4. I mean like 2012, 13, 14. There were a couple of blockchains around that time that upgrades happened on them. And they found out that there was an issue weeks and weeks later. And there were a lot of exploits that ended up actually destroying the entire project. There's one famous one for Bitcoin. I think it was sometime around 2012 or 2013. I feel like that's the correct time frame. Where basically there was an upgrade that happened to Bitcoin. And then I think an hour or so later, people realized that basically they had to find a way to backtrack and like undo it, test it again, and then finally, I think, eventually implement it onto the blockchain. The problem is that the issue that I think someone else even found, if it had been exploited, would have actually risen the number of the 21 million cap to whatever somebody wanted it to be. So this was quickly found, and this is why you may hear like months and months and months of people being like, hey, there's, here's testnet number 14, because these blockchains are far too big to simply just throw anything on them and hope that it actually ends up working. With Shanghai, withdrawals will be launched on the mainnet in March. It seems to be concrete now that we are going to be getting this upgrade in like 7-8 weeks or something like that, enabling users to access their staked coins that were made temporarily inaccessible during the transition known as the merge in September. It feels like so much longer than that. While the main feature will be withdrawals, developers have finalized 3 other improvements aimed at optimizing gas costs for certain activities. Cool. So now we have the test nets running. Usually what ends up happening is probably sometime in February, we are going to hear that there's going to be a public test net. It always ends up working this way. There's usually 2 mainnet private things happening. And then there's like, they allow the public to also go to another test net to see how that ends up working. And then by March, we should actually have it. This was, of course, very popular news anytime that anything's happening in the cryptocurrency space, especially when it comes to the 2 top main coins, ends up making the news. This is one of the last 2 real upgrades that we have all been more or less waiting for. It is the Shanghai upgrade and the eventual 10, 20, 30, 50, 100,000, 1 million transaction per second upgrade, which I believe is also scheduled for either the end of this year or sometime next year. We had no, not even indications. We were told last year that we should have the full roundabout capabilities of Ethereum 2.0, I believe, by the end of next year. That is to say 2024. So good job on them actually, releasing this one at a suitable time and not taking 6 years for it. That's the Ethereum Shanghai shadow fork has been activated. Yeah. Let's move on. Also in the news, crypto adoption achieved a new milestone in 2022 With the number of crypto owners reaching 425 million people during the year. This was reported by the website Crypto. Moreover, the report reveals that the number of Bitcoin owners reached 219 million in December, while the number of Ether owners is estimated roughly around 87 million people on. I feel like it's a lot more than that. I feel like 87, I mean, whatever. Maybe I'm overestimating as it is the largest blockchain. The fascinating part is that during the course of prices going down, that number of the adoption rate also did not go down. We've been receiving news more or less for like a good week or two as the markets have rebounded about how many people are in the market, how many new people are getting into the market. We're going to see a lot more statistics for how many new Ether addresses there are, how many new so-and-so. We've been getting it for Shiba Inu and how popular this coin is and what this coin can do. One of the main metrics for success, I guess I'll say, within the cryptocurrency space has always been the idea that eventually we would have over 1 billion people in the cryptocurrency space. This is significant because we are officially now 8 billion people. So if you have 1 out of every 8 people on the planet using crypto, buying crypto, holding crypto, investing in crypto in some sort of way, next couple of years, we get to 2 billion, 3 billion, 4 billion. You kind of get the general idea. It's basically just a really good way to show how much longer we have to wait until we have like omnipresence within the entire financial world. The idea of only 87 million for Ether seems a bit weird. It's the largest blockchain. It has the most development activity. I would have assumed that number would actually be a lot higher. The website Crypto published a report titled Crypto Market Sizing for the year of 2022. The company explained that its analysis is built on the combination of Bitcoin and Ethereum on-chain data, survey analysis, and its own internal data as well. Regarding the total number of global crypto owners, the firm's research and insight team wrote that in spite of macro headwinds, namely high inflation, issues in Europe, supply chains, and the RoRo, they said crypto adoption in 2022 achieved new milestones, with the number of crypto owners reaching 425 million people in December of last year. The overall number of crypto owners worldwide grew by, that's crazy, 39% from 306 million to 425 million during the collapse of everything. I'm actually quite shocked and even, dare I say, proud of portions of the world for actually even realizing that crypto might be a better option than the old system. Which, I mean, to be fair, a lot of times when you hear actual adoption news, it tends to always, 99.9% of the time, it comes from Chainalysis, it comes from Santiment, it comes from these other people who are actually like looking at these metrics within the cryptocurrency space, who are also into crypto themselves. You would be hard-pressed to find on any traditional news outlet anyone really talking about that there are 500 million people now buying this thing called cryptocurrencies, when all these news outlets don't like crypto or have been talking negative about crypto. You know, once again, pay attention to any time that prices fall. These news outlets, they jump on it immediately. But when prices are doing good and people are, getting money or becoming 100,000-aires or millionaires, that's never going to normally make it into the news. So yeah, crypto adoption continues. It's just, I guess, completely logical at this point. Quite fascinating. The way that the world is going, a lot's happening all the time. There's never really a break. Yeah, that's the apparently 500 million people on the planet now are owners of crypto. We will definitely get news when it's 1 billion people. Yeah. Let's move on. Here's some, what? No, that's crazy. I can't believe that one. Binance allegedly processed $345.8 million worth of Bitcoin transactions from the crypto exchange known as Bitslotso. Reuters reported on Tuesday, citing data by blockchain research firm Chainalysis. I was just talking about Chainalysis. For those of you who weren't here or maybe missed it, About 5 or 6 days ago, people tried to make this news, but it's not news at all. No, it was definitely last week. It was the United States DOJ, the Department of Justice, announced that they were cracking down on cryptocurrency, this and this was going to be happening, and they made a major fine and a major arrest, and the world was going to be a much better place after it. And then they basically announced that some obscure crypto exchange, I think that was based in Russia, that was owned by someone who lived in Hong Kong, and he was found in Miami. I think that's what it was. Apparently, that's the person who they got. But the news didn't really make the news because no one knows what BitLotso is. It's just not a thing that we're not talking about, a major crypto exchange. It's some other thing that no one really knows about. Allegedly, I think they were gotten in trouble because they said that they had allegedly once again laundered billions and billions of dollars. Sure, why not? So the news back then, I felt it in the air. I think people were trying to make it a bigger thing than it actually was because it's nothing. It's literally nothing. And you will never use that cryptocurrency exchange. And I'm sure 99% of you also did not. So the news being dragged around now is that apparently, allegedly, Binance was actually allowing them to transfer money through them or something along those lines. The world's largest crypto exchange by trading volume, Binance, according to the story, did 205,000 transactions with BitLotso between May 2018 and its closure last week after the U.S. Department of Justice charged it and its founder with money laundering. About $90 million worth of Bitcoin transfers were carried out after August 2021, according to the report, which was when Binance said it would start demanding stricter background checks from clients in order to fight financial crime. Binance last week was named as one of the BitLotso's top 3 counterparties by the U.S. Treasury Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN. Neither Binance nor Chainalysis immediately responded to a request about what the heck is going on. So basically, and I'll put it to you in the most simplest terms, I do not know if any of these things or these allegations are true. I am not Reuters. I am not Chainalysis. I hadn't even heard of a BitLotso. It sounds like a drink from Starbucks. It's just not a thing that's on my radar. Who knows if any of this is true? However, I will say I've told all of you 38 bajillion times. FTX was not the first one to do what they did. They were not the last, and a lot of that stuff is still going on. A lot of the times, banks and now cryptocurrency exchanges tend to get in trouble for things that are along the lines of this. I think regardless of how much due diligence can or would or should be done, you're going to always have bad actors in some sort of way. For those of you who also don't know, traditional public outlets, news story places, the older what have you, for some reason they don't like Binance, and I think it's a runoff of the continuation of 2017. For those of you who were not here, it was a very it wasn't even weirder than now. Now is weirder than ever before. But in 2017, anytime that anything new popped up, there was almost like a gigantic brigade of people who were ready, willing, and able to spread lies and talk about how terrible something was, because it wasn't something that we had before. When Litecoin first popped up, I remember people telling me that Litecoin was the worst thing in the entire world, and eventually Litecoin became okay. When Ethereum popped up, I'll never forget, and I'll never forgive those people who told me not to invest in Ethereum when it was 50 cents, because they were like, Ethereum's garbage, it's just another fake coin, and I was like, sure, I'll believe you, you sound correct. So every single time that something new pops up, and Binance popped up in 2017 and quickly became the #1 cryptocurrency exchange on the planet, there were so many news stories about how evil Changpeng Zhao was and how this was happening and how blah, blah, blah was going on and this was happening, you name it. It was all out there in the news. And now that Binance has all this regulatory approval, you nearly never hear anything about anything. But always keep in mind, all these people know each other. These aren't people in separate entities around the world who live inside of their own castle and don't come into contact. They all know each other in some sort of way. That's why the idea of the entire collapse of FTX wasn't weird to me, because we kept on hearing every week that these people had exposure to FTX. They had invested $100 million with FTX. It was always something else, but they all had to come out in public and saying, oh, he's evil, I will never work with them again. All these people know each other. If this is true, 205,000 transactions, I can let like 10 transactions slide. I can even see like 1,000 over the course of a month as people are trying to launder money. 205,000 transactions. All I can hope, once again, is that when the dust settles, because people keep trying to kick it up, that we have like full transparency from all these cryptocurrency exchanges. It's just exhausting hearing this nonsense over and over. He said, she said, might have done, could have potentially worked with who. I don't care. Just do it under, you know, legal framework so that you don't crash the cryptocurrency market again. I don't care what these people do. Make sure that it's legal and make sure that you're not the next person to drag down the market. Anyway, that's apparently Binance was working with, or allegedly helped, or was allowing money to flow through or from Bitlotso. What a terrible name. News. All right. Let's move on. Also this is also news. A new amendment under the code XLS34D, okay, has been proposed for implementation on the XRP ledger by contributor Dennis Angel, but that's with 2 L's. According to the text of the proposal, it involves making changes to the ecosystem's structural facilities in order to enhance the capabilities of non-XRP native assets. Sure, why not? In particular, the innovation would make it possible to use escrow accounts for all assets built on the ecosystem. In other words, a project team would be able to lock tokens in a trust line balance and thus regulate its supply. Also, interestingly, the amendment should allow token issuers to retain authorization and to freeze control over their issued tokens, even when they are locked into entity. Hold on, whoa. The amendment should allow token issuers to retain authorities. That doesn't sound nice. Did anyone get that? This proposal would allow people who made the tokens to have authorization over their tokens and to freeze control over their tokens even when they are locked into instruments like smart contracts. That sounds like the least decentralized thing I have ever heard of in my entire life. The idea, for those of you who haven't got it, of decentralization is that if you issue a token on a blockchain, people can do with their token as they see fit. If you have a proposal that would allow a token issuer, I can't see any situation where this would actually be good for the public. I just thought, you know, quickly, what if this could work for a company that has stock? I'd rather you not be able to freeze or maintain authority over the stock that I own, or freeze my stock, even if my stock is on another platform or another website or on my phone or anywhere else. Someone thought this was a good proposal to say out loud? Like someone wrote this online? Huh. In addition, the escrow opportunities, the amendment also opens up greater opportunities for the use of native assets on the XRP ledger's payment channels. The authors have also not forgotten the efficiency of the XRP ledger, saying that XLS34D should have or help avoid unnecessary multiplication of entities as well as computational burden. Huh. Someone proposed this? Sorry for the silence, but it just sounds really stupid to me. Imagine, okay, here we go. Just so we can end this right here. Imagine if someone made a proposal that on the Bitcoin blockchain, anyone who's dealing with Bitcoin or dealing with any other asset that looks like Bitcoin, wrapped Bitcoin, I don't care what it is happening on the Bitcoin blockchain, they'd be allowed to retain authorization over the coins or freeze your coins. even if you've taken your Bitcoin and you have it locked as wrapped Bitcoin on Ethereum or on Avalanche or somewhere else, why would that ever make sense? Like, I can't imagine any financial entity. I could understand maybe internally within a company, they'd want to do that, but this doesn't sound like that. Anyway, someone proposed something that sounds really dumb. If this ends up getting pushed through, there's going to be pushback against it. So hope that doesn't happen, because that doesn't sound very good for the future at all. That's the XLS34D Ripple XRP Ledger proposal. That sounds stupid. Don't even do that. All right. Let's move. Like someone said that out loud. Like someone was like, we should give less control to token holders. What? Anyway, all right, let's move on. That's just absolutely stupid. Major US-based crypto exchange Coinbase has expanded its partnership with German soccer team Borussia Dortmund, or BVB. Why is it called BVB? Okay, to include advertising, and I know that someone's writing in the comment section, Dankeschön, to whoever is out there who's, I don't know why they're called BVB. I can't get it. To include advertising in the stadium and promotions on all BVB marketing channels. According to a recent blog post by Borussia Dortmund, Coinbase has doubled down on its partnership with BVB to become its premium partner. As part of this new partnership, Coinbase brand advertisements will be displayed through perimeter advertising and cam carpets. What's a cam carpet? In their Dortmund's Signal Iduna Park, Germany's largest football stadium. Coinbase initially started its partnership with BVB in July of last year. As part of the deal, Coinbase ads ran on the screens during the game on the stadium. The exchange also provided workshops on crypto for BVB employees. BVB Managing Director Karsten Kramer said, "The crypto world offers exciting opportunities, and it is important for us to work with a trustworthy partner in the promising field. The granting of the license by BaFin is the clear signal for us as BVB to now have such a partner at our side in a segment that is still very new and often confusing for non-insiders." I'm still confused as to why those letters. Anyway, so cool. This was actually like really popular news, and I'm not sure if it's just a literal late game runoff from news that we used to get a long time ago. For those of you who don't remember, like once a week, we were getting like crypto sports news. So it was like, there's a major company who has partnered with this company and they're dealing in cryptocurrencies. And this was around the same exact time that we were getting like all those like sports teams and sports fans and sports institutions who were all being like paid in crypto and like wanting to be paid in crypto. So cool. I guess the move is that it's the largest football team in Germany, and therefore you would want to partner with them, as you would, you know, you'd have more eyes on you. But sure, I would lump this into the same category as like coin burn news, or like Binance getting regulatory approval in some other country news, because that also keeps happening all the time. That's the Coinbase has partnered with Borussia Dortmund, the BVB, and they're gonna be partnering stuff. Okay, let's move on. Here's a good one. Members of the crypto community have been discussing the number of Bitcoin that have been bridged over to the Avalanche network, which apparently is now larger than all the Bitcoin locked inside of the Lightning Network. Yeah, that's weird. At the time of writing, there are currently 5,493 Bitcoin on Avalanche, while the Bitcoin Lightning Network only, air quotes, has 5,248. So for those of you who don't hear much or know much about the Lightning Network, Lightning is basically like Polygon, but not. Lightning is meant to be the solution for using Bitcoin on an everyday basis. Lightning Network transactions typically have a fee of anywhere from 1 to 10 Satoshis. It's like 1/1000th of 1 cent. Like, it's basically dust at this point. So the idea is for Lightning is the more Bitcoin that you can even use Lightning yourself, as far as like you can lock money into Lightning, and however much you lock into it, you can make payment rails. So let's say you have 1/10 of 1 Bitcoin. You can make 10 different payment rails that are 1/100th of a Bitcoin. So you separate that 10 into ones, and everyone who wants to use your rails will be able to send transactions of 1 million Satoshis or less. This is allowing us to be able to buy a packet of gum or buy a whatchamajaggers or buy a cup of coffee. That's kind of the general idea. And Lightning recently took off a lot, especially last year, because we kept on hearing how all these companies are going to be allowing Bitcoin payments and yada, yada, yada. So we saw the Lightning Network develop quite quickly. However, the news is this thing that's been around for like 5 years has now been surpassed by another blockchain that has not been around as long as the Lightning Network. The past week, digital currency advocates have discussed the rising number of Bitcoin bridged over to the Avalanche network. 7 days ago, the crypto asset known as BTCB saw its supply surpass the number of Bitcoin locked on the Lightning network. The reason for the celebration is that it took much less time to beat the Lightning network's total value locked or capacity. At the time of writing, the Lightning network has 5,248 Bitcoin, which is roughly around $120 million using today's prices. It's really weird. I won't lie to you. Avalanche is probably one of the very last things on my list to look into. Is there a specific reason why there are so many locked Bitcoin in Avalanche? I'm asking because the idea is if we have enough Bitcoin locked inside of the Lightning network, we would eventually mathematically get to the point where if everyone is transacting on Lightning and the finality of the transaction ends on the Bitcoin blockchain, we would, in essence, very quickly, if everyone had joined it, be able to, do around 100,000 to 1 million transactions per second. So I find it weird that the Lightning Network is, and I dare not say sluggish, but that Avalanche, for some reason, has really outpaced anything that we were all expecting. Here's the screen cap, if you will, of the information right there. A week ago, Avalanche supporter known as Ojr, that is O-J-R, Ojrdev, okay, tweeted about the number of Bitcoin transfers on Avalanche, saying Avalanche has transferred more Bitcoin than is locked in the Lightning Network. The Avalanche consensus mechanism is also faster than Lightning. Many other Avalanche supporters agreed and celebrated the milestone. While the Lightning Network currently holds yada yada yada, it's a number of Bitcoin, according to snowtrace.io, currently worth around 125 million. Does Avalanche, is it like Lightning? Does it do the same kind of things? Is it simply just a way to lock up more Bitcoin? Like, why would people be putting more money into Avalanche as opposed to the thing that could allow us to have 1 million transactions per second on Bitcoin? That's the question I'm asking. Sure. Why not? That's the Avalanche news. I don't understand it, but I'm not going to knock it. Here's a golf clap for you. I feel like it's just like to lock it up for contracts or smart contracts or to deal in the value of Bitcoin, but on the Avalanche blockchain. I feel like that's it. So wouldn't you just, okay, I'll shut up. That's the Avalanche locking up more Bitcoin than Lightning news. Whoa, that's wild. Was not expecting that news. All right. Let's move on. Also in news, the world's largest digital asset manager, Grayscale, will reportedly be presenting its arguments in court regarding the potential launch of a Bitcoin ETF in the United States on the 7th of March. For those of you who missed the story, I know I say that a lot, it's because There's like 8 bajillion things happening every single day in crypto. Like, if you are able to keep up with everything, then kudos to you, because it's so, there's so much going on. Grayscale is a company that basically has, in everything but letters, a Bitcoin ETF. They've been collecting Bitcoin. They have a fund, and institutions have been buying their Grayscale Bitcoin trust fund paperwork for a long time now. They've been asking the United States Securities and Exchange Commission since around 2018, I think, to actually transition into a Bitcoin ETF. The US SEC keeps saying no, but there's no real reason as to why they keep saying no, because Grayscale's trust fund is literally already an ETF, just without the letters ETF. So the last time, I think Grayscale tried 5 or 6 times to get an ETF to go through. Apparently they were lawyered up, as the kids say. And they had around 20 to 30 lawyers, and they did everything correctly according to them. Went to the SEC, handed in the paperwork. The SEC took like 9 months to basically say nope. And then Grayscale was like, if you say no one more time, we're going to sue you. And that's where we currently are. Yeah. Grayscale has displayed its intentions to introduce an exchange-traded fund tracking the performance of Bitcoin in the United States multiple times, but to no avail because the SEC is corrupt. The SEC rejected the launch of the product in June last year and doubled down on its decision several months later. Craig Salm, Chief Legal Officer of Grayscale, maintained in 2021 that the SEC might have a clear vision about ETFs, but it should take a reasonable likelihood on the matter. CEO Michael Sonnenschein went further, vowing to sue the watchdog for dismissing the firm's initiative. As far as we've been able to hear, us from the far outside reading in, is that there's no reason to actually say no to this. Apparently, everything was filed, everything was proper, all the words were there, and the SEC keeps saying no over and over. My speculation, if you put the tinfoil hat on one ear, my speculation is that someone's paying the SEC from the inside. I don't know how to make it any clearer than that. There's no actual, once again, every other country on the planet where someone has proposed a Bitcoin ETF, they've gotten it. We have like 12 now in Canada. There's no, you can't say that the SEC is afraid of it destroying markets, because Bitcoin actually went up after we got the other Bitcoin ETFs, around 50 of them, every other place around the world. I assume someone's paying the SEC off to kind of make sure that they don't let any of the, and I air quotes here, smaller industry players actually make it through. We had the Winklevoss twins. We had, it wasn't Fidelity. What were the other ones? I forgot the other names because it's been like 8 other companies. And then you also have Grayscale. I feel like something behind the scenes is working so that everyone else gets rejected, and then eventually there will be a Bitcoin ETF, but it's going to be for someone like BlackRock or someone who like works hand in hand with the SEC, who like is basically always about money. The biggest money is going to get this, and this is why Grayscale has been like, we have everything. We already have the fund. Just give us the actual letters. So the SEC is not looking too hot. No one likes them. That is to say, every company that we have heard from or about in the cryptocurrency space has either had problems with the SEC, has been sued by the SEC, or another company is suing the SEC. And this is just another iteration of it. I wish regulators actually regulated and weren't corrupt and actually gave people what they were simply asking for. Years ago, there was a thing where you could actually go onto the SEC's website, and if there was like a proposal for something, the public could actually chime in. And I remember in 2015, 16, 17, somewhere around there, if you looked on the SEC's website for a Bitcoin ETF, like, and the public could comment, there were maybe 2 or 3 comments, like literally 2 or 3 people actually commented. There was one time in 2019, 2020, 2021, I don't remember, where the public was once again allowed to chime in. And I made, I think, 2 videos on it. And I was like, everyone watching, go write a comment. Chime in on it on the SEC's website and tell them what you think. And there were hundreds of comments. And I think maybe only 3 or 4 of them actually said no. Not joking. People were going through them. Vast majority were like, yes, give them a Bitcoin ETF. And then a week and a half later, the SEC was like, no, I'm sorry. No. No, sorry, we can't. They don't actually care what the public says, and they don't care about the public in general. So there will eventually be a Bitcoin ETF, but I think the SEC has fallen so far behind. There's no logical reason as to why they could or should still be saying no, because there are already over 50 of them already floating around the world, and the other countries haven't collapsed. So I can only assumption someone's pushing money to the SEC. There's another form of corruption that we can't even possibly begin to understand, because there are essentially trillions of dollars at play here behind the scenes. So cool. Grayscale stuck to their word. They're going to now try and sue the SEC because the SEC has no actual reason as to why they've been saying no. If we get to a point where we hear that Grayscale has won against the SEC and Ripple has won against the SEC, you know, it would just be pure euphoria in the cryptocurrency space. So let's see what happens. That's the Grayscale. And the SEC are going to court. It's apparently going to happen on the 7th of March. There's a lot happening. There's way too much happening in March. You got the Grayscale thing. You got the Federal Reserve stopping raising interest rate hikes. You got the Shanghai Ethereum upgrade. There's something else also happening. Was it something with Cardano? I don't remember. There's way too much happening in March. Hopefully it's a good month for us. That's the SEC Grayscale nonsense news. The SEC is horrible. Like, how can you be so openly horrible to everyone around you? Like, no one likes you. No one likes you. It's so insane. All right. Let's move on. Yeah. I hope that you've all enjoyed. Hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, supporting. Thank you to all the new Patreon members. I see more of you every single day. I do thank thee. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.